So it looks like Arsenal are looking into the possibility of Ethan Nwaneri leaving the club. Now, it's frustrating to hear this. In my opinion, a lot of the fans say it's a good move for him. He needs to go and play football. He's 18 years old. It needs to be first team. He needs to develop. And I can understand all of those. And if I'm honest with you, I think it's valid to bring those points up. Where my frustrations lie is I'm so excited about the potential of this player, and I do think that he needs to be playing within the side because I believe that he has a long-term future at Arsenal. Now, he definitely has a long-term future in the game. He's going to be an absolute star. In my opinion, he's one of the best players to watch. I think every time he gets on the ball, it looks like something's going to happen. He's a threat. He lights the game up. He lights the fan base up. He lifts the fan base. And last season, scoring 10 goals for Arsenal at the age of 17. I can't remember the last 17-year-old that did that at the club. So he definitely was the player that came on and lifted us last season. Every time that we were down or were a bit flat or deflated, he would come and lift the energy at the Emirates. And certainly away from home, he was able to do that as well in terms of the Champions League game. He scored against Girona. He was excellent in the game against Preston in the Carabao Cup away. He scored a brace at home at the Emirates against Bolton, scored at the Emirates against Manchester City in the 5-1 win last season as well. So when you look at what Ethan Nwaneri has done already at Arsenal, because he's been kind of under the radar of late, you kind of forget what he did last season. It was a phenomenal debut season for him. And it looks now like teams are circling for him. Now, we are being kind of careful, I suppose, with the interest that we're getting for Ethan Nwaneri. I imagine that Ethan is very vocal about where he wants to see his future. And you remember when he was looking about that kind of debate of whether he should sign at Arsenal, his long-term future was at Arsenal. And there was a hell of a lot of Arsenal fans getting on his back about why is he questioning his future? Why is he demanding more game time? Why is he at 17, 18 telling people what he should do, getting big for his boots? I totally disagreed with that. I thought it was an absolute fair comment to be made. When a young player is being touted by other clubs and he's got options, he needs to investigate all of those options. He needs to ask those questions. And the questions I believe he asked to Arsenal were, where do you see me playing? How much game time do you think I should get? What position am I going to be in my long-term future? And how am I going to get there with you guys? And everyone's saying they're quite questions you shouldn't be answering. You should just sign. It's the Arsenal. You should just sign on the dotted line. Well, of course, as fans, we'd do that. If I was an Arsenal player, I wouldn't care. I'd just sign. Wouldn't care how much they paid me. But even Nwaneri, as much as he's a Laguna and an Arsenal lad, he has to then look at his career. When you're that talented at 17, 18, it's very different to a scenario, and big him up every time, of a Carl Jenkinson who can't believe his luck. Yeah, give me the Rob Holding. Can't believe it. Callum Chambers, just sign. He isn't one of those guys. This is a guy that could go to the very, very top. And unfortunately, we haven't seen enough of him this season. And for me, I would keep him because I feel like we're one injury away from needing him. If Erdegaard was to get another long-term injury, you've got Eze, and that's all you're relying on. And we know from the injuries we've had in attack this season and in defence already, the only area that we've not struggled is in that kind of attacking midfield. With Madueke and Saka and Trossard and Martinelli, there might not be a genuine spot for him on the wide areas, but in the middle, I think without an Erdegaard or an Eze, there could be. Now, I think what Mikel Arteta is seeing is differently. I think he would probably play Marino and Havertz ahead of Ethan Nwaneri. And if that is to be the case, then perhaps he does need to go on loan because you can't sit there sixth or seventh choice behind wingers and attacking midfielders. You can't do that. You have to go and play. Now, the rumours, according to Fabrizio Romano and, of course, first reported by David Ornstein, are that Marseille are the team that are working on a deal to sign Ethan Nwaneri on loan. It's going to be for the rest of the season. It's not agreed yet, apparently, and it would include a loan fee. So Arsenal would get money for him, but there would be no buy option. So it would just be a straight loan, and he would be coming back to Arsenal next season. Apparently, Arsenal are in favour of Marseille due to De Zerbi and his playing style, but also there are Premier League clubs such as Bournemouth and Palace that are interested, and there's other European interest as well in the 18-year-old. Now, he is going to have the decision. There will be a decision soon. Ethan and Arsenal will think what's best for the player and what's best for the club. And I do believe that we'll see in the coming days that he will probably be going out on loan to Marseille or somewhere like that. Now, I think it would be a good move for Ethan. It keeps him out of the Premier League. It gives him a taste of another league. It gives him some experience abroad. It allows him to go and express himself in a team that is very free flowing, that's very attack-minded, that De Zerbi plays, as we know from his days at Brighton, very attack-minded football. He's going to link up again with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. who's playing up front for them at the moment at the age of about 36, I think he is. So he will go and get a taster of what it's like over in France. Now, Marseille are actually doing very well this season, from what I understand. And it feels to me as if there's only really PSG over there that compete. But right now, I think from my understanding, it's actually quite close over there in terms of who's going to win this league. I think it will be PSG, but I think Lyon, I think Lille, I think Marseille, Monaco, they've all had tasters, haven't they, of getting close to winning silverware over in France. It isn't just PSG, but they're, of course, massive, massive favourites. But Marseille have done well so far this season, from my understanding, and deserve is very highly sort of. I think it would be the perfect opportunity for him to go over there. I think he would play most games in that position. What I want to see happen is if Ethan is going to go on loan, he can't sit on the bench, because I'd rather him be on the bench at Arsenal than be on the bench at Marseille or be at the bench at a European club. I think that although I'd probably be against him going on loan in some aspects, I don't mind where he goes as long as he's playing. I don't really care if it's another Premier League side. He won't be able to play against us anyway. So if he does go to a Bournemouth or a Leeds or a Palace or a Brighton or a Burnley, I wouldn't be against that, because I think he'd be playing every single week. He'd toughen up in the league. He'd stay in the league. He'd gain experience in the league that we want to be seeing him playing in. And he'd come up against teams that Arsenal are going to be coming up against. So I wouldn't actually be against him going to a Premier League side. But if it was my choice, I'd keep everybody. I wouldn't be getting rid of Ethan. I wouldn't be getting rid of Lewis Skelly. I wouldn't be getting rid of Jesus. The only players that I'd be looking at potentially moving out would be ones that are either on loan that aren't happy and need another loan move, or ones that are in the reserves at the moment that are looking for a loan move. I wouldn't be interested in anyone that's been a part of this first team squad leaving, because I know it's a bigger squad now and it's 24, 25 man, but you don't want to start getting that down to 19, 20 to 22 players again, because last season that was the problem, right? So although people are going to be frustrated they're not playing, I'm not one who's going to sit there and say that players should just leave Arsenal if they're not playing, because I don't think that that is the way forward when you're in 4 competitions. We are top of the Premier League. We are top of the Champions League. We're in a semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Some are saying we've got one foot in the final of that, and we're in the FA Cup. I don't think that we can sit there and start now dishing off players because we believe the squad's too big and that actually players aren't playing as much as we thought. That's not how it would work for me. I think we've looked at every position. There's probably only Ethan that hasn't got a number of games that he deserves. If I look at the front line, Havertz hasn't even kicked a ball yet, but Jesus has now. Marino's played there. Gyökeres has played there. Trossard and Martinelli have played more than enough games already this season, as have Saka and Madueke. Eze might be frustrated at the moment, but he's played more games than he's ever played before at this part of the season, because he was at Palace last time when it was 1 game a week. Odegaard had injuries. Eze's come in. Miles Lewis Skelly, people are talking about. Actually, he's played some games this season, as has Nkapie, as has Calafiori, Timber, White, Celebron, Gabriel, Vad Mosquera, and Nkapie that have played, particularly Nkapie of late and Mosquera at the start of the season. Norgard's even played some games for us to cover for Zubimendi or Rice. Whether it's Marino playing in midfield or up top, he's played. So really, other than Kepa, who's played a couple of cup games, and Ethan Nwaneri, who's played a couple of cup games, Arsenal have actually used their squad and utilised it to the best of its ability where needed. There might be times where he might have been able to do it more, Mikel Arteta. He might have been able to bring in more Norgard for more games and rest Rice. He might have been able to play Ethan a bit more than he has. He might have been able to start Jesus at times a bit more lately than he has done, with Gyökeres being out of form. He might have been able to play Martinelli and Trossard and swip that a bit more if he wanted to. But right now, really and truly, we're nitpicking. Arsenal are in a great position. We should be 11 to 13 points clear, in my opinion. We should have beaten Sunderland, Forest and Liverpool to go 13 points clear now. We didn't. It's 7. Let's stop moaning about it. Let's get on with it and let's go and win this league. The Champions League, we've got a great chance. We're one of the favourites in that. We are the favourite, I believe, of the Carabao Cup, which means we're definitely going to be one of the favourites, if not the favourite, for the FA Cup. Arsenal are in a brilliant position to win multiple trophies this season, not just one. But for me, we're going to need a squad to do that. So if Ethan's going to go, I've not got a problem with that, people. But I wouldn't personally do it. I would keep him here, because you never know what's going to happen. How many times have we seen already this season where Gabriel's got an injury, Saliba gets a knock, and then Calafiori goes down in training? That was a genuine thing that happened. And we're like, crikey, Nkapie and Mosquera got to play, but none of the others can get injured. Timber's now not got to play. Ben White's going to have to play 4 or 5 games in a row, which he ain't done for a while. Lewis Skelly's going to have to go at left back. This is all chopping and changing again. At the moment, Timber's at left back. What about in the middle? What happens if Eza and Erdegaard were to both get an injury or suspension or both? Marino's going to have to play there or Havertz. I'd rather play Ethan Nwaneri. So that's why I wouldn't do it. Now, I know we're talking about the extremes here. We're talking about, wow, the worst case scenario. Sometimes Arsenal have the worst case scenario. Arsenal have had no striker for the majority of the back end of last season. Arsenal have had no centre backs and no attackers at one stage already this season where we've had to make do. So that's the reason I wouldn't do it. That's the reason I wouldn't move on from Ethan Nwaneri. But I can understand that he might want first team football. And I can definitely understand why Arsenal might believe it's fair to give him his development elsewhere. Sometimes it's good to go abroad and get a loan move. Sometimes it's good to go and get a loan move in the Premier League. We saw that with Jack Wilshere when he went on loan to Bolton. We saw it with Hector Bellerin when he went on loan to Watford. These are guys that actually did really well when they came back into the side. And although it didn't work out for either of those players, they looked like they were going to be excellent at one stage when they come back from their loan move. Jack Wilshere was brilliant off the back of a loan move to Bolton, where he was playing off the park, Xavi's and Iniesta's and Messi's at the Emirates. He had Hector Bellerin, who for one stage looked an excellent right back for Arsenal, albeit it never went on to be that. But they all had loan moves. So sometimes first team football helps. That's my point. So I think this one could be the case that it's going to happen. And I hope and I wish him all the best if he does go out on loan. And he needs to be playing, in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Would you loan Ethan Nwaneri, yes or no? Let me know. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you hit subscribe. We need to get to that 60K, which is our next target. So please make sure that we help doing that as a community here at 12th Man. And we will see you on the next one. Up the Arsenal, people.